it was not good. But yet I got some of the greatest gifts of my life during that time.
Ooh,
I received one of the most amazing gifts of my life during that really bad time. And I don't know how else I would have received that gift if I hadn't lived through that particular episode.
Hello, you are listening to the Late Bloomer Living podcast. It's season 4, and here we are still reimagining, rethinking, and redefining what it means to be in midlife and what's possible as we age. We are gathering energy, momentum, and excitement for our next chapter via candid conversations with other midlifers about their own pivots, pitfalls, and triumphs. I'm Yvonne Marchese, your host, and I'm so happy you're here. I created this podcast to give you inspiration and let you know you're not alone in feeling stuck in midlife. Both men and women are welcome here, but if you are a woman, I also invite you to join the Age Agitators Club for Women, where we come together monthly to hatch our plans for making waves as we age. Being part of this community for women will remind you on a regular basis that you're not too old, and it's never too late to do that thing you've been thinking about. You can find more information at latebloomerliving.com/community, and I hope to see you there. Hello, my friend. Welcome back to the Late Bloomer Living podcast. And welcome to a Where Are They Now episode. I love doing these. I invited my friend Jack Perez back to the podcast to fill us in on some really interesting things that have happened in her life since she was last here, including a near miss accident that almost left her paralyzed. She's okay now, but yeah, wow. For those of you who have been with me a while, you may remember Jack from episode 46. For anybody who missed it, you can go back and listen to that. In that one, we talked about, back in 2017, she started an online platform called Kuel Life. That's spelled Kuel. And on that platform, she champions the idea of normalizing aging. Yes. And what she's doing there, the work that she's doing, is redefining modern midlife for women through curated content and women-driven brands. Jack was inspired to start that platform really because she got hit hard by menopause and found herself looking for information, and back then couldn't find anything useful. So she saw a problem and decided to do something about it for herself and for other women. And now she has, 65 plus something thought leaders contributing articles to Kuel Life, including me. Yay. That is something new that happened since she was first on my podcast. So we have gotten to know each other pretty well. What else do I say about Jack? She used to travel a lot pre-kids, back when she was in her 20s. World travel kind of things, you know? And now that she's raised her son, she's back out traveling the world with the goal of getting to 60 countries before she's 60 years old. The other thing I wanted to mention is that, man, oh man, this conversation actually took place in June of 2023, and here we are, November of 2023, because I record things in advance and then I went on break, and oh my gosh, all of a sudden it's November. So a lot of the things you're going to hear us talk about are references to, Jack mentions that we had yet to meet in person, and we have since met in person in July. She came to New York City and I took a train down and we met and we had lunch for the day and we played in the park and had all kinds of fun. It was crazy. So yeah, I'm just excited for you to hear this conversation. She's a pistol and I love her. And I spend a lot of time with her in Clubhouse. And anytime that I can hang around Jack, it's like getting this little injection of energy from her, because she's got energy to give. So, I guess without further ado, here's Jack Perez. Let's go. Hey, Jack, thanks so much for being with me today.
So Yvonne, I'm so excited to be here. I mean, I always love sharing space and time with you. So any opportunity to sit and gab with you is one that I will most likely say yes to.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, I'm very happy to hear that. And welcome back, I should say.
It's good to be back. It's been a while. I think we figured out I was in your first season.
Yeah. Yeah. Back when we kind of didn't really know each other. And right?
Very true. We had just met on Clubhouse.
Yep.
We had spent a fair amount of time on Clubhouse. So by the time we got to the episode, I'm going to have to go back and re-listen to that one because it's been a while. But I'm curious as to who we were then and how we interacted versus how we're doing today. It will be a curious comparison, right? Because I know you so much better now and our level of intimacy is so much higher. Even though, and I want this to be heard, we have still to meet in real life.
Crazy, right?
But I'm hoping that's going to change in the summer because I'm going to be very close to you and I'm hoping that we can figure out a way to connect because I'd love to physically be in the same space with you at some point in time.
I'm with you on that. I am with you on that for sure. I hope we can make that happen. That I've got you on my calendar. Just saying, as a possibility.
That's
question marks.
Yeah. Yes, I can be fairly flexible and hopefully we can make it work.
Excellent. Well, my goodness. So a lot has happened since you were last on the podcast. Where do we start? So what I guess when I asked you to come back, I originally was thinking, oh, she's gotten back to doing all of her traveling. And I know that when you were younger, that was like a big part of your life, right? Pre-momming, right?
Pre-momming, before I went, as I like to put it, before I went to motherhood prison, yes, I was out and about in the world. As a matter of fact, the year before I became a mother, my husband at the time, as I was married at the time, we put everything on hold. We put our business on hold. We sublet our apartment, our flat in San Francisco, and we donned 2 backpacks, a pair of hiking shoes, a pair of Tevas. I don't even know if they make those anymore, but like those sandals that you can wear in the rain and in water and stuff like that. And we went around the world for a year.
Wow.
And this was pre-smart anything, right? This was before an Apple phone or even a BlackBerry or anything like that. As a matter of fact, I had not one single item that required electricity with me the entire year.
Holy cannoli. Isn't that incredible? Oh my gosh.
Yes,
wow.
I went without electricity basically. Well, I mean, I used electricity in the locations that, thank goodness there was heat and, lights and that kind of stuff. But yeah, my personal
How did we do it? How did we do it? Like, I think about, you're making me think about my move when I moved from Denver to New York City and I drove cross country and it was all pre GPS and all the things. And I had my Rand McNally map and I had done all this research on New York City. I'd been as a kid, but that was all. I didn't know anybody. I didn't have a job lined up. I didn't have a place to live lined up. I had nothing. Right. And I remember having my Rand McNally book, what's it called?
Yeah, it was called the
Atlas.
Rand McNally Atlas Book of Maps. Yes,
yeah.
And it was huge.
And I had taken a highlighter and I had highlighted my route and I had little tabs on each of the states so I could go, okay, next, as I went. But it's funny, and you did world travel pre anything electronic. It kind of just blew my mind. Okay, so yeah, now that I'm past that, I can get over that. Now you're how old and getting back to it and going solo, right? Some of the time.
I am doing a fair amount of solo travel. The circumstances are such that the people in my life aren't as open and flexible to do what I want to do. And because I'm about to turn, take a deep breath. I'm about to turn 59, which is I'm not going to lie, it's kind of scaring the pants off of me a little bit.
Yeah.
59. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, like, what does that mean? I'm about to exit this decade. And that's always kind of freaked me out. I have a hard time at 49 and at 39. I did really struggle with the actual flipping of the calendar to the next decade. But the year before was I don't know, just like grabbing on for dear life. Can I just keep this decade a little bit longer? But yes, I now at basically almost 59 years of age, and now that I've been let out of, like I said, motherhood prison, although I have to tell you, I still have one of those shock collars on my ankles. And it'll occasionally vibrate and shock me a little bit. But all I have to do, honestly, is pull out my phone and move money from one account to another, and the vibration stops, and I'm okay. So it's manageable. It's manageable.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Oh my goodness. So where have you been this year?
2023.
Yep.
So I haven't been to very many places in 2023 because
Was it all
I
2022? Is
well,
that
well, I did a lot in 2022, and then in 2023, I did do a month in Vietnam.
okay? So that's
And
what's in my head. All right.
yes, I did do the Vietnam, Qatar, Caribbean 6 week excursion. I did do that February, March. But in 2022, I went to Italy, Spain, Switzerland, Ireland, France, Colombia,
Wow.
Croatia,
Wow.
Serbia, Montenegro. Where else? I think that's it. I definitely did a lot of traveling. Portugal. Forgot I added Portugal to the mix. So that was 2022.
That's a lot of travel.
It is a
And
lot of
you
travel.
worked while you were traveling, right? Because in the meantime, you're running Kuel Life and it's growing. You have
It is.
how many contributors who are what do you call us?
Right, because that's also different from the first time I was on your podcast. When
Right.
I was the first time I got to be a guest on your podcast, you were not a Kuel Life thought leader.
Right.
And now you are on the roster of Kuel Life thought leaders, which I'm thrilled and honored to have you be part of that team.
Well, thank you. I'm honored to be there, and you've grown it so much that there's 60 something of us now.
There are 65 of you now, with probably, I'm hoping that by the end of the year, I might be as close to 75 or 80.
That's a
Then
lot of cat herding, Jack.
I happen to be really good at it. And also, I have some amazing women who mind their knitting and they commit to something and they just do what they're supposed to do. And then I do what I'm supposed to do. And then it works out. Right. And these women, Yvonne, come from all over. I mean, we have women on the platform from New Zealand, Australia, Mallorca, Spain, Austria, the UK, Canada, and then various sundry places in the US as well. We don't have anyone from South America yet. And so that's kind of a like, we're not getting the South American cultural perspective, which I'm hoping that if anyone is interested, so if any of you listeners, any of Yvonne's listeners, late bloomer listeners, are interested, reach out because there's always room at my table. And I would love to get some South American women involved as well.
That is such a great idea. I love coming at it from having people from different cultures contributing. That's incredible. I love that.
Well, the idea of normalizing aging, which is what the platform was built to contribute to, right? I mean, I want to be part of the sea change that is happening in the normalization of aging. And I'm focused on women. I'm not saying that men don't have issues with aging. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that I had to pick a lane. And because I am a woman and I care about what's happened to me and I care about what's happened to my sisters, and I know a lot of young women, and I don't want them to feel the way I felt when I was in my early 50s. I don't want them to look in the mirror at 52 or 53 and say, oh my God, I'm disappearing. Oh my God, what's wrong with me?
I find it so funny that we're both working in this space, Jack, and yet here you are, approaching 59. I'm going to be 55 in July, and it's not that I'm not afraid of aging. I still am. I'm still afraid of aging. It's just that I'm a little more curious about it now than I used to be before I started kind of dwelling in the normalization of it. And I keep hoping that maybe I'll finally get there to where I'll just be comfortable with the whole thing.
Oh, did I give you the impression that I'm comfortable with aging? Because if
No,
I gave any,
that's what I'm finding
oh,
funny is that
okay,
here we are. You're working, you've got Kuel Life as a platform. You're working, that is your
right,
mission, is to
yes,
normalize aging. And yet we're still, we still have this inner conflict in us, because we are steeped in a cultural zeitgeist, a cultural thing that is so deep and deeply entrenched in all of us that how do we Hey, we're going to take a quick break here because I want to let you know that this podcast episode is brought to you by Midlife Cues. Are you looking to live life more intentionally and grow personally as you get older? The Midlife Cues newsletter is the perfect solution for you. Every Sunday, you can open up your email to find a weekly newsletter filled with carefully researched resources and tools to help you live your best life. It's written and published by Lou Blazer, who left a successful career in corporate America and now focuses on helping midlifers be truly happy and feel fulfilled in the second half of their lives. You can subscribe today at midlifecues.com.
well, and this is something that I learned after, not that long ago, about a year ago, doing some research, and it actually came to light with one of our thought leaders, Andrea Sleminski, who has a PhD in women's studies. And so she writes a lot about sort of more of from a higher strategic sort of cultural perspective as why women are in the situation that they're in. And I learned from her, and this is really interesting. And if you don't know this, I'm going to watch your face while I tell you this, because it'll be very curious to see what you're,
Okay.
how
Oh my
you feel
gosh,
about
I'm so
this piece of
excited. I can't wait to
information.
hear it.
No, so in the early 1900s, so not that long ago, the average lifespan for a white woman was 51. For a woman of color, it was even less than that. So do the math. So while there were women who made it to 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, of course there were, right? Of course there were. We didn't exist in a cohort of the size and magnitude that exists today. And so if you think about it, this is kind of the first time in the history of humanity where women have been gifted an entirely new lifespan. So what do you do with that new lifespan?
And it is a
What do you,
gift. It is a
it is a
gift.
gift. And
Yeah.
so interestingly enough, who's defining what that looks like? You are. I am. All the women in Kuel Life are, all the women that we interact with in Clubhouse and Instagram, all those influencers. It's our task to redefine this space, because, girl, there is a huge chasm between mini skirts and Depends, adult diapers. And I want to live my largest, coolest, biggest life during that space. But we don't have a lot of models to look to, because we are the ones that are modeling the behavior today. So the yin and yang, it's cool, but it's also kind of scary, and the responsibility is kind of a lot. But we're doing it. We're making it happen.
Yep. I really do think that the whole key for me, I'm just going to speak for myself, is in staying curious about it. To rethink everything that I have believed, and to look at it again and go,
Right, because I agree. Because I think what can happen sometimes when we start aging and start adding numbers, the numbers start to get kind of heavy, is that a lot of us start to think, oh, well, it's too late to start something new. It's too late to be curious. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough runway to be curious. I don't know how you feel about AI, artificial intelligence, but I have been talking to some of my personal friends who are my age and older, and a fair number of them are saying, yeah, I hear it. I know about it. I don't have any intention of getting involved.
I want nothing to do with it.
I want nothing to do with
That's
it.
what
I
you
am
hear,
not
right?
going
I'm
to get
not speaking
involved.
for myself there because I'm actually, I am using it to lighten the load when it comes to, like the marketing end of things for the podcast, So, okay, if I take a bit of the transcript from an interview and I think I take the part I think is relevant and I plug that in and I say, write a podcast description, and it comes back and it goes blah. And I go, no, not quite. And then I take the little bits and I massage and I put it back in and it just when I'm stuck and because this is weekly, it's a lot, and I'm trying to balance my other job, the photography with it. And so for me, it's like, okay, no, this is a tool and it's here. It's like they didn't think the automobile was here to stay, right?
Yeah.
And yes, I am frankly a little uncomfortable about AI and what the implications are for jobs and everything else. But I think, well,
heck, I'm a writer. I'm scared. I am scared, right? Because I am a writer and I use it all the time though, and I use it the way you use it. I use it to get myself unstuck. Like if I'm like writing and I'm like, oh God, I need an analogy and but I don't know, does this work? And I'll put it in and it'll come up with a bunch of stuff and I'll be like, oh, I hadn't thought about that. And so it makes my life a lot easier and a lot faster. You want to try something fun? I'm planning a trip in the fall to Sweden, Germany, and then I don't know, maybe Romania. I haven't quite figured out what the third place is because one of my goals is to get to 60 countries before I'm 60. And I'm turning 59 this summer, and I have 3 more countries to get to before I turn 60. But just for grins and giggles, I got on, I think it was either Perplexity or Chat GPT, and I said, write me a 14-day itinerary for Stockholm, Sweden. Include the best tours, include the best restaurants, also include local inexpensive restaurants that are very popular with the local people. Also include cocktail bars with live music. And you know what that did in like a second? It shot back. And I know like it was crazy. And then I think it's Perplexity that actually gives you the websites that they mined to get the information. Because here's the deal, you got to be careful. It's such a new tool that there's still a lot of garbage and it coming out of it. You do have to be careful. You can't take it as gospel. You have to pay attention. But do you know how long it normally would have taken me? Now we're not talking about like when I was traveling without a smartphone, but even so because that took forever, right? Because that took photo books and trips to the library and conversations with other humans. And then we got upgraded in 1992 with the internet, and it's like, okay, you could do all that stuff with Mosaic, I guess was at the time, or something like that before Google, if I remember correctly, the search engine, or AOL, I can't remember. But now AI can actually push out an itinerary.
That's insane, isn't it? Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
It's a very powerful tool. But back to what your point were saying about staying curious, right? Because I'm circling it back around. The reason I brought it up was because you said for you, it's important to stay curious. And I feel the same way. And one of the things that I've noticed about some of the individuals that I know as they've gotten older is that their curiosity is waning. And I'm encouraging them for that not to happen, because I think there's an inverse relationship between curiosity and aging. I think you age faster if you stop.
I'm with you 100%.
Being curious.
100%. Right. I like to say that I believe that the fountain of youth is actually the key to the fountain of youth is to put yourself in the position of being a beginner. And I think that curiosity is implicit in that. And when I talk about the fountain of youth, I'm not talking about reverse aging. I'm not talking about becoming younger at all. I'm talking about the feeling of energy and excitement that I associate with youth.
Which is curious. Remember when your kids were little?
Yeah.
And everything was, everything that was brand new. Like wide-eyed saucer with mouths agape, and it was, we lived vicariously through them when they were little, right? Their first trip to see Santa at the mall, if that's what you did, or your first trip on the merry-go-round at the park, if that's what you did. Watching their face as they realized and experienced something for the first time, right? And you could see them
and we
grow
don't
and
have to live
mature.
vicariously through them. We can do that for
Well,
ourselves by putting us in the just to a certain
you can though through the merry-go-round. I'm not going to get all wide-eyed and
true.
curious about a
No.
merry-go-round, but
But you can get yourself that sense of awe and excitement, I think, by following a breadcrumb of interest that's within you and going, oh, I've never tried that and I always wanted to. Or I never even thought about trying that before, but oh, that does look interesting. Or if you notice you're jealous of somebody doing something, it's like, ooh, there's a real clue there that there's something in that for you. And maybe you should look at that. Maybe you should get curious about it,
100%. And I love the fact that you turn jealousy on its end to provide actually a favorable outcome of what we all perceive as a negative emotion. And I love that you did that. You just turned it on a 180. You're like, okay, you're feeling this negative emotion. You can get stuck there, or you can think to yourself, does that mean because I need to be figuring this out for myself?
I can't claim that as an original thought. I got it from someplace else for sure, but just saying.
Sure. I mean, are there original thoughts? I don't
know.
But that's debatable. We could have a whole episode on that. But, this is a good example about the curious and jealousy, and it wasn't jealousy because I don't want to learn French. I have a friend of mine who's teaching herself French, and she's been doing it for about a year. And I have no interest in French, none. But I have a deep interest in Portuguese. And for the last year, I've been watching her get on some online program, and her French is getting better. And I was with her in France last summer. That was I went to go visit her because she and her husband were in Chamonix for a month. And so I went and hung out with them for a week, and we did some hiking in the Alps and whatnot. And I watched her practice her French and help and navigate. And I really want to learn Portuguese. Guess who's teaching herself Portuguese? I got on Pimsleur, and I'm learning Portuguese because I'm curious, and I'm almost 59, and it's not too late to learn a language. I'm alive. Why shouldn't I be able to learn language?
Yep. And I think the key is you got to want it, right?
Yeah.
Because it probably is going to take you a little bit longer than it would were you younger, because that's just that's the part of our brain that is harder, right? We can still learn, but it's not as fast, right? So you got to want it.
You got to want it. I do have a little bit of an advantage. It's an advantage and a disadvantage. I happen to be fluent in Spanish.
That's right. You are.
I happen to be fluent in Spanish, but believe it or not, there are some words that are spelled alike but they're pronounced completely differently. So that's just going to be I'm just going to have to memorize. And back to your point, it's a little harder for us as we get older because our brains start losing that part of the elasticity. We have a different kind, and that's more like institutional knowledge that really grows because of all the wisdom and the experience. And so that part of our brain is really healthy, but our just in time react to information in the new information immediately and be able to react to it. It does get more difficult the older we get.
Yeah. Good for you.
Yeah.
So, okay, I want to go back to something that happened that I think is important for people to know, because you are such first of all, you're in such good shape. You keep yourself healthy. You just blow me away with how good how I can't even talk. What is wrong with me? Oh my goodness.
Okay. It's not like we're doing a talk show. Don't worry about it.
No.
It's not like this is a podcast interview. Don't worry about it.
Where am I going with this? Where I'm going with this is that I admire your commitment to staying fit. And so I want to talk about something that happened in the past year? Was it in the past year?
No, it was August. If I think I know where you're headed, and it was August of 2021, because we
2021.
haven't had August of 2023 yet. Yes. So it was August of 2021. So it'll be
Okay.
it's almost 2 years.
Right. Because you're an adrenaline junkie, first of all.
Yes,
And you did an adrenaline junkie thing.
I did.
And it's something that I actually always wanted to do. I'm not so sure now. But because I don't know about you, but I'm more of a scaredy cat these days than I used to be as a younger person. Like, I used to be able to go on any ride at any amusement park and my stomach was like iron, you know? And I have
Yeah.
found that getting on like certain rides now, I'm like, whoa, what the heck is happening to me? I think I might throw up. So there's things happening that are very different for me now than they used to. You're not like that so much,
Oh no,
are you?
no, I am.
Are you?
By absolutely. I used to love roller coasters as a young adult. You could not pay me enough to get on a roller coaster right now. You could not pay me enough.
I
My
go on
neck,
like one that
my
is
brain.
smooth, but not the ones that are rattling your brain in your head, like the wooden ones. Forget it.
It's not good. It's not good for you to have your brain rattled in your head, by the way. It's not good for you.
No, it's not.
And
Oh my goodness.
I need my brain to stay as best as I possibly can keep it for as long as possible. Had I known how much brain rattling went on, well, I don't know. I was young and stupid. I probably would have done the exact same thing. But no, I don't have any desire to do any of that stuff anymore. But I did jump out of an airplane. Yes, like a moron.
Not like a moron. I think not at all. Not at all. I I think if somebody wants to jump out of an airplane, I
Yeah.
think I am 100% behind them to go do it.
Yeah.
Go make that happen. That's awesome.
I gotta tell you, jumping out of an airplane, if you look at the statistics, it's really not that dangerous. It really, really isn't. I mean, the problem with it is if something goes wrong, it can be really egregious. That's the issue, right? That if something happens, it's sort of like a plane crash, right? I mean, driving a car and riding in a car is far more dangerous than than flying, but yet, if something goes wrong. So yeah, it had been my third time, Yvonne. I had jumped out of an airplane for my 30th birthday. I don't know if we were talking about this on the air, but I've always had trouble like at the end of a decade. So when I was 29, about to turn 30, I lost my ever loving mind. Now I look back and I want to go back and slap that girl. Over yourself, right? But I was I had a crisis of confidence, and it's like, where am I in my life? I'm 29. Am I where I want to be? All like these existential kind of questions that, what the heck? I was 29 years old. I had the whole world in front of me, but you're in the space you're in. And so I had jumped out of an airplane a couple of times, and then fast forward, I was going to take my son to college. It was his about to be his freshman year, and we were going to drop him off at university. And he and my godson decided that they wanted to jump out of airplanes, and they're both 18, and we couldn't say no. I am not sure why, Yvonne. I thought to myself, well, I can't let those boys jump out of that airplane by themselves. What if something wrong happens? What if something goes wrong? Who's going to be there to help them? I clearly did not think it through.
Okay. Sorry, I'm laughing. Okay. Oh. Oh, I just lost your sound. Are you there?
I am here.
I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
I can. Can you edit that out?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So you thought you were going to protect them by being with them to jump out of
You know what? That's enough laughing at me. That's enough. That's enough at my expense. Yes.
I get it, because it's the mom instinct.
It's warped though, right?
It is, but it's the mom instinct. It's the mama bear thing. It is like
100%. It was the mama bear. I'm not letting
there is no logic involved in the mama bear process.
No. and here's the deal, Yvonne, and I'm not sure how much I believe this or don't believe this, but it makes me feel better, honestly. And so I've chosen to tell this to myself. If my being there is the reason that they were okay and someone was going to get hurt, and it ended up being me, and I needed to be in the mix so it could be me because someone was getting hurt that day, it was written in the stars somewhere, then I'm really glad it was me and not them.
So what happened?
I would take that bullet.
Go back if you don't mind.
So it was great. I mean, the guy I had told him it was great. Well, it was great until it wasn't, right?
Right.
I can't believe I'm laughing. So I did a tandem jump, and I had told the gentleman instructor that this was my third jump. And he's like, well, how comfortable are you? And I said, I'm fairly comfortable. He's like, well, do you want an altimeter? And then you can manage the jump and you can pull the chute and you can run the whole show and I'll just take over at landing. And I said, that would be great. So he gives me an altimeter. The boys go first. I'm last out of the airplane. I jump with the person attached to my back, right? And it's great. The free fall is fantastic, so fantastic. It is everything I remembered and more. And I'm managing it, and I'm watching the altimeter, and I see when it gets to the right altitude, and I pull, and I manage the chute. And then as we approach the field to land, he taps me like, okay, I'm taking over. And I'm like, yes, please, because I don't know how to land this thing. Well, I'm not sure he knows how to land that thing either. I should have taken my chances now in hindsight, but no, I don't know what he was thinking, but we came in hot on the landing and the chute got pulled up a little bit like a pocket of air. And when the pocket of air emptied, we came down and I came down on my tailbone.
Oh, honey.
And I heard, that's the sound I heard my body make. And Yvonne, I'm not kidding you. In a moment, I thought, and I'm not going to use the word I used in my head that day, but I thought, oh my.
You can, if you need to. That's all good.
I said, fuck, I'm 57 years old and I just paralyzed myself. I just ruined the rest of my life. I thought I was paralyzed.
So scary. So scary.
I thought I was paralyzed. You know, and then that mayhem, right? In a pile of dirt. I'm attached to this guy. There's a parachute all over the place. I'm vomiting because the pain is over the top. They're trying to figure out how to unsnap me from all of the equipment. My son is running onto the field. Thank God my ex-husband was there, and he came over and he looks at me. He goes, I presume you want me to take Aiden as far away from here as possible. I said, yes, my son does not need to see this.
Oh,
my son does not need to see this. Yeah. So past the gory details, long story short, though, I ended up with 3 compressed fractures in my spine. I mean, it was no joke. And I literally had to lay down for several months, getting up for short periods of time, walking. That first day that I walked, I literally walked like a half a block and I couldn't get any further. And as you said earlier, I'm a fit person. I'm a third-degree black belt in Taekwondo. I jump rope. I'm a weightlifter, a bodybuilder. I taught kickboxing for years. In part, though, I believe that the reason I didn't get paralyzed and the reason that I was able to walk out of that hospital 22 hours later was because of how powerful my core is. So once again, I'm so happy that you're doing Pilates with Kat Corchado, because getting your core, and ladies, I got
some work to do, let me just tell you.
Men and women, anyone who's listening, honestly, and if you're thinking to yourself, well, I'm not going to jump out of an airplane, so I'm never going to break that way. You can break stepping off the sidewalk to walk your dog. You can twist your ankle and fall down and break something. Yep. You don't have to jump out of an airplane to break. No,
I've had friends do it, like playing, soccer with their kid in the backyard, break something. You could do it any number of ways. Pick your poison. Wow. And frankly, Jack, I'd much rather do it doing something like you did than, some stupid, like I was walking on the street and I hit a crack in the sidewalk wrong and,
right. At least
which
I
I've
have
done.
at least I have a good story. You're right. I mean, if you're going to get 3 compression fractures in your spine, you might as well do it jumping out of an airplane.
Yeah.
Although
So
I
it
just don't
took you how
recommend
long
them,
to come
period.
back from that? How long was the recovery process for you?
So it happened in August, and I never got to take my son to college. I missed that whole rite of passage.
Oh,
His dad took him, but I didn't get to take him.
that
Uh,
sucks.
yeah, it's going to be a craw. It's going to be stuck in my craw for a while, I think.
Yeah.
So it happened in August, and April of 2022, I ran the 10K in Charleston.
That's incredible.
So what is, I don't know how many months that is. I don't do math in public.
I don't either.
There's,
I don't do math, period. So
I think that's 8 months, because I think August is the
Oh,
8th month. So that would
yeah.
be 4. And April, I believe, is the 4th month. Did I
Yeah.
just do math in public and come up with the right answer?
8 months. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I
So
had to think.
in 8 months, I went from lying down for 20, 22 hours a day to running a 10K.
And I remember you when we were in Clubhouse, and I think Shannon Peterson was in there with us, and we were talking about fitness, and you had recovered and you had started running and you were getting ready for this 10K, and you said, I am not a runner.
I did.
Shannon called you out and said, excuse me, are you running? You're a runner.
Yep. She called me out, and rightfully so.
Yes.
Right? Because I don't know what else makes you a runner. you know, I was running 4 to 5 times a day.
Yeah. And forgive me for calling you out now, but the reason I'm doing it is because for anybody listening who, I think very often people listen to people like you on my podcast and they go, oh, well, good for her.
Right.
Right. But that's not me. I'm not a 3rd-degree black belt. I'm not a this, I'm not a that. And right. That really all of us do that to ourselves. You were doing it to yourselves by saying, I'm not a runner, but first of all, I know you must have been out of your ever-loving mind laying on your back for however long you had to.
And that is the gift that I know how my primary partner truly feels about me. I know what he's capable of, and I know what he's willing to do. That man did not leave my side for a second at the hospital. I mean, barely to go to the bathroom. And then for months, he did everything. He cooked, he cleaned, he fetched, he carried, he put lidocaine patches on my back. He took such good care of me. He walked with me, even though it must have been incredibly frustrating for him because I was not going very quickly. Right? But what did I learn? What was given to me? Now, I don't recommend testing any relationship that way. I really don't. And if you asked me now, would I go back and sign up for that to learn this? I'd tell you no. I'm like, no, thank you. I can I learn it some other way? But given the circumstances, I don't regret what happened.
Did you have to learn how to accept his help?
It helps when you just physically can't move.
I'm putting myself in your situation thinking that I might have felt incredibly frustrated that I had to accept somebody's help and you know what I mean? Like that. We've talked about this in Clubhouse before. It's part of my independent streak or whatever it is. It's a bunch of BS that, the difficulty accepting help, asking for help, all that. Did you find that to be difficult?
Very much so. Very much so. But he looked at me and he kind of looked at me cross-eyed, like, I don't think you can go there right now. Like, I don't think you can afford yourself being all persnickety about receiving help because I don't really think that's an option for you today. Do you want to eat? Would you like to take a shower? I mean, yeah. Are you thirsty? I mean, it boiled down to, and that was another gift because by the end of it, I was okay receiving help. Maybe almost a little too okay, you might tell me.
Yes, I hear that. I hear that.
Yeah. So and how I got ready for that race. I mean, that first day, the day that I decided I'm going to run this 10K, and now I've gone from no exercise and a broken back. And I did wait for the neurosurgeon to release me from his care. I didn't just randomly, recklessly, misbehave. And that is one thing I want everyone to understand, because historically I've never listened to doctors. And now I'm at an age where I have to pay more attention and at least listen to the idea that I might need a little longer to heal than I used to as a kid or as a younger adult. But that first day when I put on those sneakers and I got my water bottle and I put on my leggings because it was winter, and I put on my coat, my hat, my mittens, and I went out, and you know how far I went? Half a mile. That was it. I went a half a mile and I turned back and I came back a half a mile. I got 1 mile and I did not run the entire time because I couldn't. I was not physically fit because I had been injured on my back for a month. But yet that 1 mile turned into a 10K 4 months later. A quarter mile at a time, right? By increment. That's the thing. Little by little, a little became a lot. And I owe that expression to Nina O'Bear, who you also know.
Yes. So it does. Baby steps. They are
Baby
the key.
steps. Yeah. Baby steps. So it's not like I got up off the bed and like, just go run 10K. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. And I didn't feel particularly good about myself, right? Because I had been so physically fit and so active and lifting and all of that good stuff until bang, I hit the earth. And now I had to start completely from scratch.
It's a shame you're not driven at all.
You know what the funny part is, though? I'm only driven about things that I really, truly feel passionate about. If not, then I'm the laziest person you will ever meet. Like, if I don't care, you can't get me to do it.
I think that's a healthy thing.
You think?
I do. I do think. Yeah.
Well, I like that answer, so I'm going to accept it. I don't need to shop for a different one.
No.
I concur. I concur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. And now you're back to traveling, and you have, and you continue to grow Kuel Life. And I just have a lot of admiration for you, lady.
It's mutual love. That's the thing. It's like between Clubhouse and Kuel Life, I get you in my life, and my life is richer for it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You did it that time. You just said thank you. I'm proud of you.
Just so everybody knows, before we hit the record button, Jack paid me a compliment, which I deflected, and she said, you could just say thank you.
That's a choice as well.
And I said, dang, why weren't we recording?
Right?
Oh my goodness. So I will thank you, Jack, for coming back to let us know what you've been up to since your last visit here. And I suspect this is not the last visit to Late Bloomer Living. And
I hope not.
Yeah. Is there anything that you are excited about? Oh, you have a whole new thing happening with Jack Smack. We need to talk about that real quick before you go.
I do. So really quickly, today I launched a new Instagram profile, Jack Smack, Jack.Smack. And Jack Smack is a weekly essay that I write for Kuel Life. Basically, it's just about the shenanigans in my life and my confessions about empty nesting and my confessions about my relationship. It's just my musings on my midlife and beyond years. When I travel, a lot of people follow me on Facebook, and I get a lot of inquiries like, where are you now? And can you share more pictures? And can you share more about your experiences with traveling? And I do a lot of theater as well, et cetera. And so I couldn't figure out how to make it work with Kuel Life because I really want Kuel Life to focus on its mission, which is to normalize aging. And I want Kuel Life to be focused on all of the amazing experts that are there globally for our community. And I don't want it to be mixed up with Jack's shenanigans. So I opened up a separate Instagram account it's part of Kuel Life, but it's Jack.smack. If I would love people to follow. And basically there, I'm just going to be sharing travel and food and theater and fitness inspiration, just random shenanigans. So I hope everyone follows because it'll be fun.
I love it. So I will have that in the show notes for anybody who I'll have, of course, Kuel Life and we'll get people connected with you to Jack Smack. I was so excited to see that today.
Thank you. I'm pretty excited. It just happened. Yeah. It's funny how does this happen to you? Oh, yes, it does. I know this happens to you. This is how you started your podcast. It had been sitting there and sitting there and sitting there and percolating. And you didn't get off the mark, but I can't remember what was it that got you off the mark. But for me, it was having lunch with a friend yesterday who I hadn't seen in a really long time. And she's like, girl, I cannot keep track of, I want to know what you're doing. I read your Jack Smack, but I don't get enough, blah, blah, blah. She goes, why don't you just open up a separate Instagram account where you can just put all that stuff? And I looked at her, I'm like, I've been thinking about doing it. I think you just gave me permission. Thank you.
There you go. There you go. So people, hang out with your friends. That's what I'm taking from that. Your friends will, I'm just going to say the right friends will push you in the right direction. How's that?
Yes, they will. The right friends will push you in the right direction.
Yeah.
Sometimes even if you don't want them to.
Damn them. Jack, thank you so much. I can't wait for people to hear this.
Thank you, Yvonne. It was a pleasure always.
Well, there you have it. She is something, isn't she? Man, I'm always so inspired by Jack. I mean, who jumps out of a plane and almost breaks their back and then goes running months later? I just cannot believe her determination and will, and I love that, and I want to take it like an injection, like a shot into my arm. She has built Kuel Life into this incredible platform for normalizing aging. She is a force to be reckoned with, and she is a powerhouse in what I consider to be a movement for midlife women. Things are starting to happen around this. Things are definitely moving and shaking. You're part of it by being here and listening and doing whatever you're doing on your end, because I know you are. Yeah. We have a long way to go as women to normalize aging and to make it okay to get older. Don't we? We have a long way to go, but it's beginning to happen. And Jack is one of the reasons behind that. And I'm just so thankful to be friends with her. If you want to go find out more information, hey, I really do recommend joining Kuel Life, and I will have all links and things for you in the show notes. And I have a favor to ask you. If you could take a really quick minute before you move on to the rest of your day and just head into Apple Podcasts, or if you have an option in the other platform that you might be listening on, leave a review for me. It helps this podcast to reach other people, which helps to continue to make changes for us as we age. And I'd really appreciate your support in that way. Thank you very much. I hope you have a great week. Stay safe and well. Talk soon.